Well, it's time to analyze that album that just dropped by one of the greatest producers of all time, who's pairing up once again, as he has so many times in the past, with one of the greatest and most legendary rappers of all time. Can you believe it? They released an album. And the question is, do they still have it? Can they still shift the culture the way they used to? Can these old men still exist in this young man's game? You thought I was talking about Snoop and Dre? No. I'm talking about Marciano and Alchemist. No, I'll get to Snoop and Dre. But first, we need to make this video. And I gotta warn you, it's not made for potato heads. Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show, hosted by a French professor who has a sentimental attachment to Marciano and Alchemist working together, which, if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you might remember. You see, I have 4 children, but 2 babies, right? And 2 years and 4 months ago, I had my most recent, my second batch of kids at the time, and she was born basically the same day that Marciano and Alchemist Elephant Bones came out. And so that was the first album I reviewed after I got out of the hospital and all that stuff and recovering and recouping. And it was this really sweet moment because, I was sitting there in the hospital, listening to this really awesome underground rap music. And basically, since then, my little 2-year-old, she's down with underground rap music. She's down with all of it. She enjoys listening to all of it. We've been listening to this album all week. And Alchemist even congratulated her on her birth when she was born, So my main problem with this new album, the Skeleton Key by Marciano and Alchemist, is that it's 4 months too late because I had another baby 4 months ago. So it would have been perfect, I could have had each baby with a different Marciano Alchemist album. But, he has kids himself, so maybe that's what's up. And what this made me realize about this album and about them in general is that, I know they're tough guys, Marciano's a tough guy, the pimpology and the selling the drugs and the being a criminal, and Alchemist has worked with all these greats and created all these great soundscapes. But it's also feel-good music, It's like 2 people who do what they do at an incredible level. And that's maybe why it's so different than, and I haven't listened to the Snoop and Dre, but I can't imagine it's as good as this, that Snoop and Dre, what they love to do is not, this is going to sound scandalous, but it's not hip-hop, right? They loved doing that, but that's not what they love to do. What they love to do now is be influential and super rich and business people and philanthropists and according to reports, what Always Sunny in Philadelphia call philanthropists, just very much not what they're about. And what's great about Marciano and what's great about Alchemist is they're not trying to spin off and do other stuff. They are just making great hip-hop rap music. And even though the thematics can be dark and spooky and the soundscapes can be spooky and dark, it's feel-good music. It really is. It's I've never been a fan of the Chicago Bulls, but I remember them when Jordan was in his prime, and you could not root against them. I don't care. I don't care if you were from I don't care if you were from Milwaukee or from Utah or from Boston. Watching Michael Jordan play basketball was just a pure joy to see excellence at that level. It was just, you just laughed. You just saw him do what he was doing and you would laugh. And that's how it feels when you have these couple of dudes. Alchemist is exactly my age, a month younger than me. Marciano's maybe a year younger than me. Just dudes who have just been living and breathing this stuff for as long as they've been alive. Yesterday I made a fire. That's the weekend, I made a fire. I had my 2-year-old, and she was sitting with a blanket on her, and she kept on readjusting the blanket so she'd be comfortable. And I put this album on the hi-fi through the Bluetooth, and I had the speakers going and the fireplace going. And I realized, this is like Christmas music. It gives me that kind of warmth, but it really is just from their excellence. And you're going to see this video is not super long. It's not that there isn't a lot to say. It's just, what more can I say? What more can I say about Marciano's excellence that I didn't say in my last review of him? What more can I say about Alchemist? It's just enjoying myself in this world. Now, I will try to add some new things on here. In particular, what I think makes them such a great combination is they are both great artists at being able to alternate between smooth and sharp. Alchemist can be smooth, Alchemist can be sharp, rock can be smooth, rock can be sharp. So sometimes they go in between that. And I think if you listen to the album all the way through, you can sort of be like, oh, Alk is being sharp and rock is being smooth. Oh, here, rock is being smooth and Alk is being sharp. It's sort of an interesting way of thinking about it. But I want to talk more about Rock Marciano because, this is still only my third project by Rock Marciano I've ever listened to. I know I haven't listened to Marsberg or Merci Beaucoup or any of those albums. I understand that I should. I understand that they're great, but I do a lot of music reviews, and I was not paying attention to music until 2018. But the thing that's clear, people use the term Renaissance to refer to this time in music. I prefer the term Invisible Renaissance, as coined by Sunez, who was sort of like a blogger dude back in the time. You can buy this book. It's a very interesting snapshot of what rap criticism was like, underground rap criticism was like, like 2009 to 2013. And he saw this invisible Renaissance. And this got me sort of thinking about the term Renaissance, because when we think about the Renaissance, here, we think about Italy, right? We think about maybe something like Italian Renaissance sculpture, This is a great book written by my professor. I studied underneath Roberta Olson. Wonderful woman, great sense of fashion. A little intimidating once you understood how smart she was, but she presented herself in a sort of unassuming, kind of glamorous way. Anyway, you think about the Renaissance, and you just kind of put them all together, And it's partly these guys' fault, We got Donatello, and we got Michelangelo. Now, Michelangelo is famous for the Sistine Chapel and all that, but really he was a sculptor. And Donatello was basically only a sculptor, okay? So we just say these are Renaissance sculptors, okay? But that's not true. That's not actually the right way to look at it. Michelangelo was born 9 years after Donatello. Wait, I read my notes wrong. He was born 9 years after Donatello died. Okay? That's how different they are. So when you think of David, Michelangelo's David, the beautiful piece of marble with the hand over the shoulder and the amazing look, one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Seeing the actual David is one of the most amazing moments. And this is Donatello's David, very different. But we need to think about Rock Marciano not as Michelangelo. We need to think of him as the Donatello, as the early Renaissance, as the person without Donatello's innovations of sort of humanizing sculptures and working with poses and just being able to do this. Without this, we wouldn't have the rest of it. And I think when we think about Rock Marciano, we need to think of him like that, like an early Renaissance figure. I don't know, like Masaccio, Rock Masacciano, right? That kind of person. We're not supposed to think of later figures in this invisible Renaissance, but as this early foundational figure. And as I think more about him, I realized, I was going through I was trying to figure out how long has he been working with Alchemist. And as far as I can tell, they worked together on his second album. On his first album, one of the only other producers was Ka. And Ka and Rock Marciano are in that same kind of early Renaissance phase. And I think I said this on the last video, but I don't have that much experience with MF Doom. Feel free to throw tomatoes at your screen if you want. That I don't know MF Doom very well. I don't. I've probably listened to MF Doom and Rock Marciano the same amount, and I have to say, they scratch the same itch. The kind of charismatic, mysterious wordsmiths. The only thing that MF Doom does differently that I hear is that he's, kind of nerdy, and he plays into nerd thematics, which is probably why he's more popular with nerds, and why Rock Marciano is more popular with, rap nerds. Anyways, so there's my little theory, just to think of Rock Marciano as a Donatello-esque figure, as part of the people who paved the way, and without them, all these things that we love about underground rap and about the Invisible Renaissance could not have happened. The same way Italian Renaissance sculpture could not have happened without Donatello. You get the point. If you like that, if you think it's a cool idea, smash like bucket, subscribe. AVAA is how you say awesome video as always, and I will always heart those comments. I don't know, this is not going to be a super long video. I'm going to be doing a video later tonight. If you're watching this on Sunday, I'm going to be doing my stamps, my stampies, the stampies of the year. Well, I'll announce who is the greatest albums of the year. Who gets the stamp? Who gets the paychat? And speaking of that, for this album, I'm going to give you an example song, which I think perfectly summarizes the album. It is my Professor Sky Paychot stamp. Click above there. It's the song Knock It Off. Just this great pulsing bass beat and this piano that's like off rhythm. My 2-year-old loves this song. But what does Alchemist do? That's very kind of sharp and that's very kind of pointy. But don't worry, he's going to resolve. He resolves his samples with this great guitar that comes in and smooths everything out up until the piano comes back and just in the coolest way possible. Rock says to knock it off. And these are just crazy lyrics. My aesthetic, you could sell it. It's a sex pellet. You know what I'm saying? What is that? What's this? Great. How you get the look, devilish but angelic. With my ancestors in heaven, I made man in my image. All the way throughout, there's these great lyrics, complicated, super developed, like creative. They make you do double takes, but you can also just listen to them. Then, of course, there's the sample at the end with Jordan Peterson. I've seen some online discourse about that. I mean, Jordan Peterson's a potato head. Okay, so if this album is not for potato heads, why is Jordan Peterson on it? Even though I think Jordan Peterson is a cautionary tale for charismatic professors who want to be social media influencers and a grifter. Why are we upset about this? I mean... Alchemist has so many people all over the place just saying cool stuff. Okay, Jordan Peterson isn't on here saying like, oh, we really need to stop trans people. It's very not cool. All the young men can't be young men because some young men are younger. None of that. It's not that. It's just a little thing about having terrible taste. It's a cool sound. You know, I don't know. I can't identify the voices at the beginning of the song. Maybe those are terrible people too. Anyways, I'm going to tell you a story. The term knock it off is very important. When you become a father, and I'm sure Alchemist would agree, when you become a father, there's a second voice that gets in you. It's a screaming voice. Now, not screaming at your kids, okay? It's sort of it's like a protective scream. It's a different level of loudness that you can do. Two things happen when you become a father. One, your hands become super strong. Okay, like your hands attain some kind of strength and size they did not have before, and you attain this voice. And it's the voice, I think, that you need to, protect your child from a bear or something. I don't know what. So one day, I was down by the canal. I live near the canal. And don't worry about the baby downstairs. She's fine. Her mom's down there. I was down by a canal. And there were these like little shits throwing rocks at geese that were just on the ice because the canal was frozen over. And I was probably 100 yards away. And I just summoned up the dad voice and just went, knock it off. And it was like the buildings came crumbling down. And these little shits trying to hurt poor geese who were freezing in the winter went scrambling off. Anyways, so sometimes my kids will laugh and they'll say, remember when Dad said knock it off with like the voice of Gozer? Okay, I'm going to go through the rest of the album a lot quicker now because I actually sound like I do need to go downstairs and help out. I can't tell if that's that's the newborn. Mystery God, a great sample. All the gods of mystery. I don't know where Alchemist finds it. I love the way the beat settles in. I love this whole idea. Me and Alchemist, I'm quoting now, we the gatekeepers, key makers, your shit won't shake unless we sanction it. It's a secret place they even saying Freemasons can't get in. This whole like occult imagery that he uses a lot. I talked about that a lot on Marciology, the review I did of his album earlier this year. And just great, just beautiful ideas of how he's describing his place in hip-hop and Alchemist's place in hip-hop. Because, Alchemist, he's sort of a Donatello figure in the production, right? Like, he's been producing underground rap since, Mobb Deep, right? It's wild. Then Street Magic, basically a bass heartbeat with these whiny horns, breaks into this, like, prog rock sample. I don't know how Alchemist finds these samples, how he puts them together. I'm not as cool as you might think. I'm rude. The way he says that, is that not exactly the way, that both like thematically and stylistically, the way that MF Doom raps? And I don't mean that as like a cop, I don't mean that as like a diss. Like, I mean that like, it's awesome. It's just this thing, right? Where it's like, it's so sad that we lost Ka, and it's so sad that we lost Doom. But just focus that energy. Instead of focusing that energy into getting the 20th anniversary of food, which you can get, that's fine. I'm sure it's great. But like instead of like spending all your time poring over these old texts written by artists who were taken too soon, spend some of that time over these new texts. Because the Invisible Renaissance is still going. Donatello is still sculpting. Folks scream, he's the GOAT, he's cold, but I don't need my ego stroked. People, this ain't no kinky peep show, even though this the most freaky flow. You favorite the flavorless? God. Can I take that? Rock, I don't think you're watching, but if you are, can I take that in my life to just say that whenever people are, I think they have bad taste, you favor the flavorless. You potato head. Chopsticks, another killer beat, these weird whiny sounds hitting octaves over this just ridiculously tight, pulsing drum beats. All these lyrics. It's like a cold plunge, everything below the throat go numb, poke holes in your coconut with a ghost gun. Hey, are you alone? It's Sunday. You're probably watching this Sunday, okay? Maybe you're at work, okay. But just, could you please do me the favor and just say this sentence with me? Because Rock Marciano has given us this sentence. I'll say it again. Poke holes in your coconut with the ghost gun. Okay. Let's go Dora the Explorer style. Hi! Soy Professor Sky. Professor Cielo. Can you say, puedes decir, poke holes in your coconut with the ghost gun? You can. God damn, what a great line. Just put a facility with syllables. A facility with syllables. I got a facility with syllables. I just said facility with syllables. I don't know what's happening with my hair here. Getting too like 90s with the flip floppy. Then we get to the stamp, pay chat, knock it off. You want a second knock it off story? I was at a Cub Scouts event with my son. We were at the Rochester Zoo, and I was like using the restroom, and there were these kids in there. They were just buck wilding. They were like throwing soap all over the place, and they were screaming at the top of their voice. And it was like the most annoying thing. And I didn't scream at them, but I just gave them the knock it off. The scary, like you realize you get to be the scary adult who like pulls kids into focus, And so I was just like, knock it off. Then we get to the song Acid, yelling whoa. There's one more knock it off story, but I don't think I'm going to get to it here. Yelling whoa, and the flanger guitar, and this intro sound, this weird aspiration sound. I don't know how he finds this beats. The outro with the guitar is just ridiculous. Row for more of a soul sample. These descending pianos. Is this an outtake to the Meet the Grams beat? Is he trying to do something in a similar kind of scary space? I don't know. A ridiculously clever opening with this 2-2 where he goes through all. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go on Lyric Genius right now while I'm talking about it because I meant to do this. I've got it open right here. I want to read it. Okay. Yo, check. Hey, Genius. Enough with the Volkswagen ads. Take it easy. I would like to, if possible, when I try to read something, Genius, I would like to be able to read it as opposed to putting ads up, okay? I'd never bought a damn pair of Levi's, and I sure as hell ain't buying Volkswagen, the world's worst car company. Seriously. Founded by Nazis and somehow worse. Anyways, yo check 1, check 2, cop the crib with check 1, the Patak with check 2, Bottega with the Tech 22 on 22s. I had the deuce before I was 22. Monkey see, monkey do. Just the idea, he's taking the concept of check 1, check 2 on a mic, check 1, check 2, what is this, right? Whatever it is, going all the way back to pre-recorded hip hop, right? Just going on the mic and saying check 1, 2. And it's just like the crib with the check 1 and Patek with the check 2. So those are the two checks that he's getting. Bottega with the Tech 22. The 22s being the cars, the rims, had the deuce, which is the kind of gun before he's 22. I mean, what? Jay-Z did Reasonable Doubt, 96 was it? Yeah, it's pretty close to 22 twos. It's kind of like building on that. I like it. This weird mixture of these this kind of warm quote, this warm soul sample, should have never let you go, and these just really hard ass raps. God ain't make us equal, sugar don't taste like equal. True. Get that sugar out of, get that equal out of here. Get your sweet and low out of here. Get your stevia out of here. If I want to eat sugar, I want to eat sugar. Sugar don't, God ain't make us all equal. Sugar don't taste like equal. Brock, can I steal that line too? Can I just steal all your lyrics? You speak into a igloo? A igloo? It should be an igloo, but he says a igloo because again, he's sharp, okay? He knows when to go sharp and smooth. He could have said, you're speaking to an igloo, but instead you speaking to a igloo. Igloo, speak in igloo, equal, igloo and equal sort of rhyme, but equal and igloo do rhyme. You thought the freezer was cool. All 10 of my fingers is blue. All 10, like his fingers are freezing off because he's so cold and cold-hearted. But then also we sort of think that it might be the blue of the $100 bills running off in his hands. I don't know what it is. God damn it, I love Rock Marciano. Everyone tries to gatekeep me because I've never heard Marsburg. You go ahead and gatekeep me. I'm just going to appreciate whatever he's doing now. Because whatever he's doing at 46, maybe what he was doing at 36 was better. But I don't know how much better rapping and lyricism gets. Next song is called Shout Out to Old Sway. I'll talk about that in a second. Cool kind of like psychedelic sounds, like the just weird guitars. It's like he's just saying brands, but he just says it with this weirdness that's awesome. Okay, so he doesn't actually say shout out to Old Sway. He says Chateau Josue, which is, I guess, some luxury brand. But I just kept on, the whole time I listened to the song, I just kept on thinking, how, Sway? How, Sway? Shout out to Old Sway. How, Sway? Before the race stretch, you wet, taking baby steps. I've yet to reach my apex, game and finesse. We put razors to necks. My blade will decap a leg, paint it and decorate it red. Your old lady fainted, you dead, lying in bed. Your flesh and brain dangling by a thread. This ain't the web, a safe place to debate on a thread. God damn it. The drums, just like a single floor tom playing eighth notes. Skirt steak, 70s sweet strings, smooth jazzy guitar, little stabs of voice samples, smooth and stabby at the same time. More crazy bars. When you was thinking that everything is Irie, more than likely it's diabetes type 3. It ain't what I'm driving, it's what's driving me. Hey, Rock, can I quote that too? How many of your lyrics am I allowed to take before I have to like do a fair use clause? It ain't what I'm driving, it's what's driving me. Perfect. It's not just about money. It's about what drives me to make the money. You can't buy it or caption it on IG. You can't put getting nice before hygiene. He's rhyming hygiene with IG. Can't get nice before hygiene. So you can't like wear awesome clothes and have the grills and have all the money. If your fingernails are dirty, are my fingernails dirty? I don't know. I don't clean my fingernails very often. No, they're okay. My hygiene's okay. I took a shower last night. My hair's doing some kind of funky stuff here. But that doesn't mean I'm not clean. Can't put nice before hygiene. Can I quote that too? Can I... Cryotherapy, swirling up and down synths, angelic voice in the back. Brains out the 8... Flew out the 850 like Kennedy. How does he find these samples? The album ends with make sure these strings descend, great. Rapping staccato, fast. Again, this is what I'm talking about, smooth and sharp. This is my concrete example. He's rapping staccato and fast, and he's actually at odds with the smoothness of the sample. But with the mastery of Rock and the mastery of Alk, the way they go together, it just works. Can't be two-faced like Nicolas Cage. All right, awesome. I forgot my... Patreon sheet, so thank you to all my Patreons. I do a lot of like videos over there. I do a lot of cool stuff, so please don't think like it sucks being a Patreon person because I forgot it this one time. In general, it's pretty good. Hey, if you're a Patreon, tell in the comments why it's good to be a Patreon. All right, until next time, this has been hopefully not a potato head. Please tell me in the comments, am I still a potato head? Oh, by the way, do you know what you do when potatoes get like this? Do you know how you save them? You just tear that off. My wife was like, Sky, why is there a potato in our bedroom? And then she said, wait, your video. That's fine. You don't need to explain. Oh, I haven't explained to you. That's a lyric from the album. He says this ain't for potato heads. And it's another thing that I'm going to steal from Rock Marciano. For all the things I'm going to steal from Rock Marciano, that's the one that's most there. The same for Potato Heads. All right, till next time, there's a gamer.